and welcome back to the JIT Podcast, the Just in Time podcast for former foster youth. In the first episode where I'm the host, Michael, if you don't know me, I have a previous episode where Omar interviewed me on the podcast, so you can go check that out. But today, who do we have?
Paloma
Awesome.
Garcia.
Thank you for coming, Paloma. And I already asked you beforehand, but what made you say yes to coming today?
I believe there's a lot of former foster youth that have become parents and they don't have family support. Yeah, I wanted to let them know that I'm here and I understand what they're going through, and they're not the only ones as well that have kids and have a spouse, don't have really much family support, and they want to know about how to set healthy boundaries within their kids and show them what that is like. And sometimes we are put in situations that we don't want to experience, but we kind of have to show our kids, like, hey, this is happening and this is how you set a healthy boundary. It doesn't have to be toxic, it doesn't have to be negative. So I want to let them know that they have that chance and
Awesome.
opportunity to
Awesome.
take it.
Awesome. And yeah, from talking to you already beforehand, you seem like a very strong individual. And you seem like someone who's very hardworking. And what from your experience caused you to get to a place where it's like, I can talk about that, I can provide value in that area?
Well, growing up, I had went through a lot of experiences, especially as a former foster youth. I got to experience healthy relationships in marriage and just relationships in general with anybody, whether it's a brother-sister relationship or a friendship. So I got to identify what was healthy and what wasn't.
So what were some lessons learned along that way? And maybe too, where do you see people making mistakes or areas they can do better in setting boundaries?
Well, one, control your emotions.
Nice one.
Because that one gets in the way of not just me, but like a whole bunch of people.
And that's at the root of a lot of things. So you and I talked before we pressed record
Yeah.
about how you put your kids through a workout regimen with you early in the morning. And do you feel that, how do you feel that connects to it, to controlling your emotions and being able to build a stronger self? How do you see that working out with them is like helping improve them in their mindset?
So they understand limits in working out. Yes, push yourself, but don't overdo it. Don't give up too easily. Need that.
Yeah, a few good things in there, because also being able to be coachable and being able to learn and like be teachable is one of the most valuable skills. It's the way you can learn any other skill that there is. But I think even more impactful, which you mentioned, that you're teaching them or implementing in them is like the number one thing for being successful or gaining success in any area, and that is not to give up. Like you don't fail until you give up.
Yeah.
So if you can train yourself or your kids not to give up, then they will never fail.
Yeah.
They will just persist until they accomplish what they're set out to do.
Yeah. I didn't know how to read until I was in 3rd grade.
And I was going to ask your experience with that, because I know myself growing up, I did terrible at school, and I think it's because in a large part how I treated myself, really. And I didn't give myself a chance or have the patience or like the right skill sets. So I wanted to ask you, like, what was your experience with that? And is it like different than how you're helping them now?
Yes, it is, because like I want more for them. Like what I didn't have, like what I needed is what I'm giving. I needed my parents to like push me to read. I needed my parents to teach me how to but they didn't teach me how to cook. They didn't teach me they didn't prepare me for the real world once I, continue growing up, and now I'm an adult. It's like I had to figure a lot out by myself. And that could be, in a way, I want to use the word dangerous, because sometimes when we grow up like this, and then we have our own kids, we kind of just throw a whole bunch of bags to, like, the whole bucket, like, here, learn all this and be prepared, because we want to prepare them. And that's like, it becomes overwhelming for them. And we got to remember and step back, like, hey, it takes time. Like, what was something we got to reflect on ourselves, and as a child, or something we recently learned, and how long it took us to learn, and the patience people had to teach us, or the patience we had to have within ourselves to learn something new.
Did you find that hard to do? Like, hard within you because
Yes.
of your upbringing?
Yes.
How so? Like, and like, how'd you get over that? Or how
It's
are you
still a work.
working
Yeah,
to get over
it's
it?
still because there's always gonna be something new. I mean, there's parents, people that have teenagers. I'm still not at that stage yet, so there's always gonna be. That's why exercising and breathing, like meditating. I have my kids meditate as well, and
For
I
yourself
meditate
too,
as
yeah.
well. Not at the same time they're meditating, but I meditate on my own time, and just focus on the breathing. That's why breathing in slowly, breathing out slowly is very important, and yeah, have that.
Yeah. So, what are some of those key things where you think boundaries help you in that area?
It helps a lot with relationships, not just within ourselves, and like when we know someone's crossing a line, but in relationship with friendships, like I have my boundaries, and I wasn't taught boundaries, so people took advantage of me, took advantage of how innocent and obedient I was as a child. And if someone told me not to tell my mom, then I felt the need to listen. And I still struggle with that, because I was too obedient, that it becomes, I become easily victimized in certain areas sometimes. But that's another thing that I want my kids to know and learn, that yes, respect your older people. Not all of them are wise. My mom told me older people, they're older than you, they're wiser than you, so respect them and listen to them. So because I listened to my mom, this is how I became very obedient to everybody. And I was disrespected, like, by my own father. He abused me sexually, and then I was also taken advantage by other men in my mom's life as a child. And this is why I said boundaries as well, is because they know, stop means stop, no means no, yes and means yes. And
So what does that look like for you now, doing well setting boundaries? Like, can you give me like a specific instance without sharing anything you don't want to share?
I recently had to set a boundary with a relative. But I really took the time before I told this person anything, because to think about what I'm gonna say, and just think logic, like be logical with myself, and
I understand. Okay, I'm not thinking.
and
wrong,
not letting
right,
my
yeah.
emotions get in the way when
Mhm.
I speak to this person, because emotions, that they bring out something that you might not want out, maybe a negative feeling or negative
Mhm.
energy, and you really want to be compassionate with what with being conclusive, I guess, knowing what you want and what you don't want. So you want to be compassionate for the love of this person, the love of, you know, yourself and your children, your family.
And I think in an instance like that,
Mm.
one of the biggest things preventing people from setting those boundaries is actually having the difficult conversations. So,
Yeah, you gotta be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
right.
You gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Another super valuable skill.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's still hard. It's still hard, because there's situations that I'm into. I'm like, okay, this is new. This is uncomfortable, but we gotta see it more as an opportunity to
To make your
How-
life better, you know?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Would you agree? It's like being able to I always like to say that, actually. It's one of my like biggest catchphrases. It's if you can, and I'll use the word embarrassed a lot, if you can like lean into being embarrassed or uncomfortable or mistaken, or if you can be willing to have that happen, it's a superpower. It's like an extremely strong superpower. If you could step on a stage in front of 1,000 people, for instance, but like feel the nervousness but enjoy it, or like lean into
go through it,
that's how you come out the other side better. And just like with those difficult conversations, I think it's a good place to
opportunity for growth, opportunity to experience what growth actually feels like, not lowering yourself down at their level either. Just because this person starts getting loud doesn't open the door for you to get loud. Like, if you choose to open that door to get loud, then that's on you. You're just you chose to lower yourself down to that level. But if you choose not to, we all have a choice, and it's what we decide, that whether we grow or into good, or we grow into something worse. So I have wrote down, if you really know me, you'll know what to believe, and if you don't, you go based on what others had said or say, which leads into you creating an image of me that will get in the way of actually getting to know me. So
I'll add this before.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't look to understand what's going on.
Yeah, they don't seek to understand.
Yeah, a lot of times people seek to prove a point, or they seek to simply state what they believe
or what they know.
Exactly. But it doesn't help when, like, for instance, if you're having a debate with somebody, and this person could be throwing things at you that are just crazy. Yeah. And you take a step back and think logically, and you're like, I want to make this better for the both of us. In order to do that, you have to understand where they're coming from. You have to be able to listen to their mindset, to be able to
get an insight of them. Yeah,
to best be able to alter that, or to best be able to get them to understand where you're coming from. Yeah. Like, for them to understand you, it helps you to understand them. Yeah. I think that's a very valuable point in what you mentioned, and it's a big thing that people I feel nowadays, or commonly, don't do.
Yeah. And this is why a lot of relationships don't work out, whether it's a friendship, marriage, or any type of relationship, because this is why I wrote this. I'm like, people are going to say things about you, positive, negative, true or not. And when people say things to you or about you to someone else, it's creating an image in their mind of you already. So regardless whether you say this or you say that, they already have an image of who you are because of what's been said, what they heard, what they seen, which could get in the way of them actually getting to know the real you. Like that's how I feel like I've been going throughout my whole life. People say things, especially in like families and family members saying things, and I believe a lot of foster youth could relate to this, because they get blamed by their own relatives for something they didn't do.
A lot of people are going to think that way, and it takes work not to think that way, but it's not always within your capacity to change their mind, considering all the things that make them think that way. Yeah. From their past to the way they associate you saying this thing when you didn't mean it that way, but they took it this way because they've had this experience.
Exactly.
There's so many things that go into that. Yeah. But I think it's so valuable to bring that up and recognize that that's like the equation that's going on. And not only for the sake of just saying like, oh, that's how people think, but you can take that and live your life in a better way, where you say like, okay, you're gonna think that way, I'm gonna take a step away from you because I need to
respect my boundaries.
Yeah, I need to create this boundary because I need to feel a certain way. I need to operate a certain way, and you're not helping with that.
Yeah, we're not vibrating at the same level.
And like you're bringing me down possibly. That's a good transition into a little bit more about you, because we spoke before this, and I found out that you were an avid artist.
Yes.
And so can you share about that? About like, what do you do with art?
I started doing art for like all my life, but the reason why is I really had nobody to talk to. I was neglected as a child, so all I had was like a piece of paper and a pencil, an eraser. So any emotion I felt, I put it into a piece of paper. So all this sadness I had growing up because I didn't have my mom, so I felt left out, and I seen how my stepmom would be with my siblings and she'll be very compassionate and loving towards them, is what I missed from my mom. And at the time we just didn't know how to like connect, my stepmom and I. And so all these emotions will be put on paper. So I would draw horses, I'll draw a baby horse with the mom horse, but the mom horse wouldn't have a shadow and wouldn't have the rest of her body. It would be up in the air floating, meaning and then the baby horse will stand up straight, tall, with its head up, and continue walking, meaning the baby still has strength to continue growing, no missing the mom or not having a mom there that's guiding them or helping them. So I'll draw all my emotions. I'll just put it on paper.
That's beautiful in a really conceptual way. Yeah. When did you that specific drawing? When did you do that drawing?
I was 14 years old.
Okay, nice. That's a good start on conceptual artwork.
Yeah.
And again, me as the artist, like, you could talk about that forever.
Yeah.
But I wanted to highlight that that's a beautiful outlet. And I think for us as former foster youth, to have those outlets are probably things that saved us from a lot of negativity in our upbringing, a lot more than we already had. You know?
Yeah. It definitely saved me from like getting involved with drugs or abusing alcohol and all this stuff. So, and me knowing that my mom is an alcoholic, I did not want to grow up that way. I've tried it, and I did not like it.
Good.
Obviously, the smell of cigarettes, my mom smokes it, but I never liked it. So, there's things I've tried, and
the art stuff
just it just stayed with me. And what I've noticed is when people with like social workers who come and they'll see my art and they're like seeing their expression once they see my art, and I'm like, how are they seeing all this happiness and they're glowing and they're smiling and oh, this is very good, like how are you so creative? And when every time I look at it, it's all sad, and it's like I don't want to look at it. That's why I put it on paper, put it aside. But that's how I first started seeing it, when people would see my art. But then I realized, you know what, everybody has their own point of view, and it's cool. But once they hear the story to your artwork, then they understand it and it becomes more valuable.
Right. And that's already such a valuable thing when you can take a negativity and completely change that to a positive experience for someone else. Like directly negative, you express that in the way you've been blessed to be able to do, and it helps somebody else or makes somebody else's day better. Like, that's an amazing thing. I commend you for like passing that to your kids as well, and like having that patience, and setting those boundaries and those consequences in the new form, as we've talked about, like not the old type of consequences.
Yeah, because it was easy, and I felt like our parents back then, it was just easy for them to give us whooping because they didn't want to deal with it. They were already frustrated. So all that negativity, they just let it out in that way. And maybe they weren't taught. It's not that I'm making an excuse for them, that it was okay for them to do it, but maybe they weren't taught another way to do it. And even as a grown adult, like, we have a choice, and they just chose to continue this negative generation, habit that they grew up being.
Mm-hmm.
Just remembering those 4 C's in relationships,
That was
parenting,
really
and
good.
boundaries. So being compassionate, being conclusive, having clarity when you speak, and consequences.
Take note, because those are good. That's a good 4 C's.
And I also, where I got these 4 C's are from, like, Chris Reese. She had mentioned these 4 C's, and she also puts the Bible into this as well. So sometimes I'm close-minded because I feel like I know it, but we gotta remember we don't always know everything. Like, every day we have an opportunity to grow and learn something new, and why not become a better parent, a better wife, a better woman, like a better person, artist, and improve in all those areas each and every day.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for the reference too. But yeah, thank you. So final question. I want to ask, or final topic, I guess. I want to ask about your time at Just in Time.
My time at Just in Time, it's been great. They've been so helpful, like, and it's very loving, and it feels like family. Like I mentioned before, not having that family, like, relative support, because growing up in the foster system, and Just in Time actually gives you that. Like, they're here to support us. They're here to help us grow, encourage us, and have guidance, give guidance, or refer us to certain things that we might need.
So I want to ask, where were you at, like, mentally, or even, like, resource-wise before Just in Time? And, like, how has Just in Time impacted that area?
Financially, and I think a lot of us have mentioned the financial part is, like, very important, because I did not grow up learning and being prepared to be financially stable or free. So helping us save, budget, manage our income and and the outcome of the money. So learning how to, like, manage, knowing what we need and what we want, knowing the difference, and obviously get what you need first, and then save up for what you want if you don't have enough, or so the financial situation,
where has it helped you to get to now?
So it helped me with talking to my husband about financial, like, where do we want to be at financially, and how could we get there, how could we manage our income better, and knowing that, yes, inflation is crazy, and how we could be better than that. Like, how can we save more, how could we make more, knowing also, like, we need a lot of patience, and we need to be at peace, because we have kids, and sometimes we're overwhelmed with work, or overwhelmed with a current situation that might have happened on the way to work, before work. Sometimes people get frustrated in traffic, and then just coming home and knowing that we could be at peace. Yes, a lot of these things happen, but we're at peace because we're managing our financial situation the best that we can.
Awesome. And how about, like, mindset wise, outside of money, with Just in Time? Like, where were you before Just in Time?
I felt very stuck in speaking up for myself, and with Just in Time and the workshops that I've got the chance to be a part of, I felt visible to everybody here, and and I'll see others that will be kind of shy, so I'll go talk to them. That way they don't feel like left out of anything. and and talking, I guess, just conversating with everybody here had helped me build a relationship with my kids as well, like my daughter, for example, how to talk to her, and knowing and letting her know I'm here for you, just in time lets me know that they're here for me as well. And they helped me grow and also helped me speak up for myself. I mean, they didn't tell me go speak up for yourself, but they I felt encouraged to speak up for myself, just seeing the positive vibes here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
But okay, thank you so much again. And again, I commend you for it. And I know anyone who listens to this is doing the same thing. So thank you again.
Thank you again.
Awesome. So thank you guys. Thank you for listening. We will have another episode soon. And again, reach out to Paloma if you feel like congratulating or commending her for what she's working on, and or connecting with Just in Time. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you.